Hey, good morning, channel. Man, how long has it been since I've been moto vlogging on the bike? Since before the Colorado trip. I had to do voiceover on the Colorado trip because the communication with the camera here would interfere with the communication between our helmets, so I had to do voiceover. So it's been a while since I've actually been on the bike and speaking through the helmet directly to the Ace Pro camera. And it's Saturday morning and I am on my way to just a small little breakfast with Tom Miller, Tom's Goldwing Adventures. Check out his channel. Tom is always gracious to come out to our breakfasts, and this time I'm taking breakfast to him. I'll do the traveling. But first, we got to get some gas. Alright, well, and we're off. So if you know anything about the DFW area, Tom lives out towards Arlington, so it's a bit of a drive, about 30 minutes this morning. It is 6:30 in the morning on a Saturday. Traffic looks about right, since everybody in the world now lives in North Texas. Good gracious. The population and the traffic here is approaching ridiculous. Anyway, while the helmet battery lasts, because I can't remember when the last time I charged it up, I'm not getting any notifications yet, so I think we're good. But while it lasts, I thought I would take this opportunity, since we have a bit of a drive here, to do a review of the performance of just about everything while we were on our Colorado trip. If you guys follow my channel, you'll know that recently Cruiseman and I took a 7-day trip to Colorado on the Goldwings. It was an amazing trip. Go check out those videos. I have 4 or 5. Cruiseman has 4 or 5 videos as well from a different perspective. Check them all out. They're very cool. Anyway, I thought I would go over now some of the performances of pretty much everything on the trip. The bike, the gear, whatever else I can think of. So let's start with the gear. First of all, I am sporting my brand new Shoei RF 1400 full face helmet, which is slightly different than the Neotech 2 modular helmet that I had before, where the chin bar would rise. This chin bar is stationary. It is a full-faced helmet. I am also using the Sena SRL EXT communication system on this helmet, and used it during the trip. The helmet performed really well. I'm very, very pleased with it. At first I was concerned. My goal for getting a new helmet was to reduce the weight, because the Neotech was just a little heavy. So yes, the Shoei RF 1400 did reduce the weight. I put it on the scales. You guys saw slightly over ½ a pound of weight reduction. I'll tell you, it feels more than that. When I put it on my head, it feels lighter than just a ½ pound of savings, which was good, because my chief concern, first time ever going to Colorado on this Goldwing, and since I had developed some neck issues, was how is my neck going to handle this trip? Well, it handled it very well, I gotta say. There was a couple of times where I had to take some ibuprofen, because it was a couple of those day rides were, gosh, 8 to 10 to sometimes 11, approaching 12 hours of riding. And so, yeah, from time to time I'd have to take a little bit of, ibuprofen or Tylenol or something, but it did really well, and I was so pleased that this helmet was comfortable and felt light on my head, even with the SRL EXT communication system attached to the sides. There's a comm unit on the left side, there's a battery pack on the right side, and the comm unit worked flawlessly. I mean, just flawlessly. There were a couple of times where we would cut out in communication, and I think that was more just distance than anything else. But the battery life was outstanding. The battery life lasted, 10, 11 hours before it would give up. And I think it only gave up once while we were on the road. So nice to not have battery issues in a communication system. We were using Bluetooth mesh to communicate with each other, and that worked great. I could hear him clearly, he could hear me clearly. Like I said, except for a couple times where I would get a little far ahead of him, the communication from his helmet would have to travel upstream to me at 75 miles an hour, and in a certain distance it would just cut out from time to time, so I'd have to get closer to him. Is it the advertised distance? I don't think so. That's marketing for you. It communicated well, a little bit short of the advertised distance, but it did great for our need for the whole trip. Back on the helmet, the ventilation is outstanding in this helmet. It's got 2 eyebrow vents up here and then a forehead vent, so 3 areas where air can come in, and then a chin vent down here, which hardly ever works because I've got this beautiful windshield that keeps a lot of that wind from entering the chin. But anyway, helmet worked great. I love the looks of it. The communication system worked great. So there's that. The other gear, I wore my riding boots. I think I have the Stormhawk Icon riding boots. I love them. I have 1 pair. I'm probably going to buy a 2nd pair. They're so easy to get into and out of, and they're so comfortable. All-day trip, never an issue. I wear my Olympia jacket here, which is a mesh jacket that has a thermal zip-in inner liner, which I used up there in some cold spots on the mountaintops. It worked great. Love this jacket, love the way it looks. Olympia, unfortunately, is out of business, and this jacket's approaching a decade old, but it's tried and true. It's comfortable, does everything I need it to do. The gloves, Climb, Induction, I believe. I'm not sure. The brand, the brand is Climb. The model, I'm not sure of, but they worked great. A little bit of ventilation on the glove, but that gets masked by the Goldwing, so you don't feel too much of that. Plus, I got the heated seats and the heated grips if I need them. But the Climb gloves are a very soft leather, and they feel great. They worked great. All right, so much for the gear. On to the bike itself. I was curious how this bike was going to work on a long trip, how it was going to feel, how it was going to ride, how it was going to perform, what was the gas mileage. And I got to tell you, it was outstanding. Every element of this bike is designed for touring, for that exact kind of riding, and it was freaking amazing. Smooth, just like it is now. Purring at 2,500 RPM, 75 miles an hour. The gas mileage was outstanding, especially in the higher elevations. I got as much as 50 miles to the gallon. Sometimes, I think I even hit 52 once. I'll check those stats and put them on the screen right now. But consistently great gas mileage. No vibration in the hand. There was no fatigue in my hands from riding. Just buttery smooth performance. Not an issue at all. I was using Waze for navigation, which worked fine. That was great. The wind deflectors, I have lower wind deflectors. They came in handy. Not only we went through a couple of rainy spots, they deflected most of that water. The bike itself deflects a lot of the water. The windshield is an F4 Customs windshield, which has a little lip at the top, but the beautiful thing about the F4 Customs windshield is the proprietary coating they have on the windshield itself. It made cleaning off the bugs, which we collected a few, it made cleaning off the bugs at every gas stop super easy. Sprayed a little water on there, got my microfiber cloth out, and the bugs came right off. I highly recommend the F4 Customs windshield. The windshield also, because it raises and lowers, was quite instrumental in keeping the rain off of me. We hit a slight mist on the way there. We hit a good rain shower up in the mountains for a short period of time. I had my rain gear on. We'll talk about that in a minute. But the bike really does a great job of keeping you dry, keeping the rain off you the best it can. Okay, the rain gear. Yeah, a couple times. The one time when I knew the rain was coming, we could clearly see it. We pulled over and I put on my rain gear from a Nelson Rig, I believe, is the brand name. It's a brand new model. I'll put that on the screen if I can find it. But it was pants and a top over top of my riding gear. It zipped up all nice and tight and, you know, sealed rather, and then up under my helmet. It comes with a riding hood that's integrated into the jacket, so I could put that under my helmet. I had no water on my clothes, down my neck, none of that. It worked great. So good on Nelson Rig. Those lower wind deflectors I was telling you about are made by Panicle. I think Mark with Mark's Garage may have a set. I know Mac with Gold Rider 1 now has a set. They have a louver in them so that you can direct the airflow. You can move the louver, and so in front of the wind protectors is the radiator exhaust for these bikes. So up there in these cold mountain temperatures, it was so nice to just twist that louver a little bit and have that warm air off the radiator push up towards my legs. That was simply awesome. The camera mounts, you know, RAM mount on my right side here with the GoPro Hero 10, and then the action mount from Traxxion Dynamics on the left side holding the Ace Pro rear facing. These were two angles that worked good for the vlogging, and the mounts were just solid as a rock. Didn't move, didn't twist, didn't shake. Just a very good job on these mounts. The quad lock wireless charging dock for my phone kept my phone without any wires, kept it charged the whole way. I never had to worry about a phone dying on me, which in those 10-11 hour days, yeah, that would have been close to the phone's battery life had I been running Waze the whole time and it not been on some sort of charging source. Well, this is an eloquent solution. No wires, charges your phone. It worked great. Holds my phone solidly with the quad lock case. You buy separately, it just clicks right in and your phone's not going anywhere. The Kuryakin bag I bought, Traveler, I don't know the model name, I'll put it up on the screen, but specifically designed almost for this bike. The shape of the bag was perfect. It fit snugly in the passenger seat of this bike and then strapped down to the passenger handles. It was going nowhere. It's voluminous. It holds plenty. It held everything I needed to take on this trip, which included a lot of camera gear. You know, I wanted to leave my trunk pretty clear so I could put my helmet in there when we stopped to eat or whatever, and have my main camera back there in the trunk also, in case we wanted to pull over and I wanted to get a quick shot. So that meant most everything else had to go in this Kuryakin bag, and it did a great job. So couldn't be happier with that Kuryakin bag, and it came with a rain cover. So when it started misting on us, or I knew we were coming into rain, I would just throw up that rain cover. Now I will tell you, I didn't have it cinched up. It cinches up the rain cover at the bottom, and I didn't have it cinched up quite enough, so it had a tendency with the wind and the suction behind me to start riding up on the bag. The rain cover started riding up on the bag, so I was constantly fussing with that, trying to keep it back down. But I think had I paid more attention and just cinched that thing up a little tighter around the bottom, I would not have had that issue. But the rain cover did its job, kept the bag perfectly dry, so I had no issues with that. Highly recommend that Kickstand bag. I love it. It was a great purchase. Alright, so you know I have the new Ultimate seat on this bike. I love the looks of it. I love the feel of it. It's cupped a little more than the stock seat, so my butt feels a little more solidly planted in it rather than on it. So how did it do on the road? Well, something about my body structure, you know, I've never fared well with long rides. Even on my VTX, I had to have an extra sort of padding on these long rides, and I sort of anticipated that for this trip, so I bought the Airhawk seat pad to go on this bike, and I used it the whole way, and it helped quite a bit. Now, I don't know that the padding on this Ultimate seat is any thicker or cushier than the stock padding, to be honest with you. I like the looks of it, I like the feel of it, but it's just not as, you know, it's about the same cushiony feel. So the Airhawk is a pad that you can just air up, and you know, at certain intervals. You don't have to fill it all the way up, then it becomes hard as a rock, but you fill it up 3/4 of the way or whatever, and it performed very well. My butt still ached from time to time, so I found myself adjusting my sitting position to accommodate and relieve some of the stress on my tailbone. The Kickstand bag served very well as a backrest, in addition to, well, the seat has a backrest, but it was a full backrest, like you're sitting in a chair, so I really could lean back and leverage that bag to help me sort of scoot forward. Man, if I would have had some highway pegs, I think that would have been perfect. Cruiseman had highway pegs, and they helped him quite a bit. So, before my next long trip, I might look at a set of highway pegs, to be honest with you. But the Airhawk seat performed well. The Ultimate seat performed admirably. So there's that. Okay, the lights on the bike. You know, a couple of times on this trip, we started off early in the morning. I don't know that we were ever riding late at night, but we did start riding early in the morning. And out there in West Texas, where there is no light whatsoever, man, all the lights around this bike just created a halo around me and made me very visible. I felt very safe, but also allowed me to see very well into the distance. The brights on this bike are very bright, so when I flip it to high beam, I can see well off in the distance, which you know, is a great solution for being able to see animals that might, you know, deer or whatever, might jump into the road. You can see them well ahead. So the lights on this bike performed exactly the way I needed them to. Very pleased with that. You know, back on this Ultimate seat for a bit, it has heat built in so that you can connect it to the factory heat plug on the bike. This trip was the first opportunity I had to use that heat in the Ultimate seat, and it worked just fine. I was pleased to see that. That and the hand grips, you know, turned up, really helped when we were on top of the mountain and it was 34 degrees that we were riding. I think we were on our way back home, but it got really pretty chilly. But the warming functions of the bike and this new Ultimate seat worked really well. Very pleased with it. Alright, any negatives on this trip? Any negatives about the equipment or the gear? Well, you know, the comm system could have been, you know, seems like Cruiseman's comm system, and he was using Cena as well through his Impulse helmet. Seems like it was a little bit better than this SRL EXT. He could hear me clearly. I never cut out. I don't know if that was a function of him being behind me. I don't think that's how it works really, but yeah, it seems like you know, at certain ranges he would cut out from me. I couldn't hear him, but he could hear me okay. So just on rare occasion, I thought the comm system could be better. It's a great system, but it could have been a little bit better. Second, the Bluetooth communication, the wireless CarPlay on this Honda Goldwing, flagship motorcycle for Honda. Why isn't wireless CarPlay automatic? Like, why do you have to have your helmet connected to the bike in order to bring up Apple CarPlay? That should not be necessary. I should be able to connect to Apple CarPlay without the helmet being connected to the bike. And also, when the mesh communication is operating and I'm communicating with Cruiseman using the mesh, it would interfere if I also connected the Ace Pro camera like I'm doing now with the helmet, so I could record audio on my video for the trip through the helmet like I'm doing now. It would stop the communication, the mesh communication with Cruiseman. So I'm not sure why that is, but it is a thing. So I wish that, would be fixed. That could be better. But that's about it. Very, very few negatives about the bike and the equipment, the gear I was using. Just super enjoyable interstate trip thanks to the abilities of this motorcycle. Alright, well, I'm approaching our breakfast destination. I'm going to sit down with Tom and have some coffee. It's going to be a great morning. Thank you guys for listening to this little review of the trip. And I will be back with a short segment after breakfast. So I will see you in a minute. Alright, just finished up breakfast with Tom here at Lone Star Cafe in Arlington. It was an awesome breakfast, and we had some great conversation about Colorado trips. It was a lot of fun. Alright, let's get on the road.
Oh, be safe out there now.
Thank you. Okay, well, what a great breakfast with Tom. Great to catch up. As you guys know, Tom's Goldwing Adventures, he took a trip to Colorado a few days ahead of us. We passed each other on the road. That was fun. But boy, that man put in the miles on a motorcycle. Go check out his channel and his videos on his trip through Colorado. Some beautiful places like Estes Park. But that brings me to my next point, and that is this Goldwing community that we're all part of, especially the YouTube Goldwing community. I've met so many wonderful people like Tom, like Mac in Tennessee, like Chris, like Larry up in Canada. Just salt of the earth, and many others who don't have a YouTube channel per se, but they follow us on YouTube and may come to breakfast with us. It just, the caliber of person who buys a Goldwing, first of all, is a little, let's just say a little advanced in age. I'm not going to call it an old man bike because it absolutely is not, but the kind of person that can, number one, afford a bike like this and decides to buy a bike like this, I'm going to say is a little older than your average biker. But that comes with wisdom and patience that really just speaks to the character of the folks we get to know through these bikes and through YouTube. But there's just so many people that I never would have met had it not been for this Goldwing and this YouTube channel. So all of you regular viewers, I just want to thank you for watching. Those of you with Goldwings And those of you who routinely comment on my videos, thank you for watching and commenting. I treasure the relationship I have, even if it's just virtual, with a lot of you guys, and a lot of it is just virtual, to be honest with you, because you live in Tennessee or Canada or Wisconsin. But yeah, just generally a great group of people, these Goldwing owners, YouTube watchers. Thank you guys for continuing to watch. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this video about how the bike performed on our recent trip to Colorado and how the equipment performed. And thank you for joining me today on this first moto vlog in a while. Boy, I've missed doing this. Cruiseman will be back in town before long. There will be no breakfast tomorrow, which may be today by the time this video gets out, to be honest with you. But he will be back later this month of October for our Sunday meets again. And Mac with Gold Rider 1 is going to be out. We're very much looking forward to meeting you, Mac. So that's going to be exciting. I think the guy, Brian, that bought Cruiseman's bike is going to come to breakfast one time. So we've got a lineup of fun things happening for the rest of this month. Anyway, thank you for joining me, guys, and I will talk to you again soon. Until then, my friends, ride safe and God bless.